Dance in a Totomak. I hope you're doing well. I just did my makeup and did a whole little discussion with all of you. Not really a discussion, well, kind of discussion. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to share this. I wanted to share some news with you, and I don't have a fancy backdrop or anything. I'm just in my living room, wearing literally my sleeping shirt, my husband's shirt, and I wanted to put this out there in the world. I wanted to share this news with you because I've been fortunate enough to have some reflection on it, and now that I'm a little bit far from it, I want to share it because I feel like it's very important and something that I've learned from it. But back in August, I applied to do a TED Talk in New York. I know! Oh my god. I did the application in August, submitted it, and then I got an interview. So if you remember that really cryptic story that I shared back in September, I got an interview. I got selected for the next stage of the application process, and it was a 11-minute video, phone call. And they literally asked me 2 questions, and it went by so fast. And I was nervous and preparing, and this whole entire experience was just really humbling. And I'm not gonna cry, but I'm gonna cry. I never thought for a minute that I would have the opportunity to do a TED Talk, or even get close, or even apply, or even be considered. I have to thank, of course, Steph Klochuk. She reached out to me and said that they're working in collaboration with TED, Destination Canada, for this event, and she helped me. She encouraged me to apply, so that I applied, and it was really nerve-wracking doing the application. I think I waited pretty much almost the very last day, 2 days before the application deadline, and I was nervous. I had this huge amount of what is it called? Imposter syndrome. Like they don't want to listen to my story. They don't want to listen to what I have to say. Thinking what do I have to say that's important? It's important for the TED Talk stage. And then, one day I just finally did it. I sat down, and I'm not even making sense. I sat down and I started thinking about it. I went through their application, and I went through what makes a TED Talk great, and I did my research, and I created a word map, and I just started making all of these documents, and I submitted the application, and the TED Talk was going to be about my experience as an Indigenous woman in archaeology, and how I'm using it to reconcile and reconnect to my language and heritage, pieces that have been lost and have been stolen. And it was talking about taking space, and for me it was about showing other Indigenous women, Indigenous men, Indigenous people, Indigenous youth, that they're allowed to take space, and that they're allowed to be in these positions. So for me, I just kept envisioning myself on the stage. I was going to wear red lipstick and real long earrings, and I was going to wear my ribbon skirt, and I was going to stand there and say, Danse hani constant English nesigas and pakta hausagaigen ochinia. I was going to say with my whole chest that I'm an Indigenous person and I'm here. And then I was going to, of course, whatever. TED Talks are amazing. They're concise. They're only 15 minutes long. So yeah, I did the application. I got an interview. I got selected for the next stage of the registration, or whatever, the process. And that was humbling in itself. It was an 11-minute interview. I don't even know if I'm repeating myself at this point. And I'm not re-recording this, and I'm not going to edit this. But I was preparing, and they said they're going to only ask 2 questions to reiterate my idea in a minute, or in a sentence or less, and then they were going to ask what is the takeaway that people should have? I can't even communicate right now. What is the takeaway that audiences can have when they listen to my TED Talk? So I was preparing. I had my whole like word map on my walls. I was preparing, and it was an 11-minute interview. It went by so fast. And right before they joined the call, I just had this moment of like, I'm about to interview for a TED Talk, and whatever happens, happens. But it was really overwhelming and emotional. And I couldn't believe it. So the whole time that I was in this interview, the Zoom call, I was just smiling. Like, I couldn't stop smiling. But one question that stuck with me that I thought about after, and I'll get to that, was how does my story, I have a powerful story, but how does that story relate on the global scale? So I gave what my answer was, and I thought it was a very good answer. And, you know, I had a really good thought process from it, and feelings when I walked away. I was like, okay, I have a really good chance. But, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So I was really hoping, I was really manifesting it. I could see myself on that stage, and I was telling everyone, like, we're going to New York. So when I was in Isla Cross last week, I got the news that, unfortunately this time, there was others who were chosen before me. And I'm not gonna lie, when I read it initially, I cried. I was so heartbroken, to the point where I had to step away from the food that was cooking and the cleaning, and I just stepped away. I stood outside in the cold Isla Cross air, and I was thinking to myself, like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here. I just want to stay in my bed. I don't want to move. Feeling disappointed, feeling angry. But I pulled myself up, got back inside. Jenny gave me a hug, and then, you know, sat there thinking for a bit, like, I have two options. I can make my husband drive all the way up to Isla Cross and leave Jenny, and then feel sorry for myself at home, have a pity party. Or I can do what I came here to do, which was support Jenny, have a little adventure, and push myself outside my comfort zone. So I did what I tell people not to do. I shoved it all deep down. Like, of course, I let myself cry for a bit, but I shoved that feeling of disappointment and anger down. So then I started doing, I just went back to what I needed to do. So I did some dishes. I did whatever around the kitchen to help Jenny. And then we were both like, I think I just need to sit and bead. So when you bead, whatever emotions you have at that moment is being baked into that beadwork. Like when you're cooking or whatever, that's going to be passed on to someone in that item. So I knew that I know when I'm doing my beadwork, I need to absolutely be in a good place of mind. So when I was beading, first of all, it's comfort. It's reminding me of home, so I don't need to like wish that I was home and like blah blah blah. But plus, it was distracting, and it was distracting. It was comforting. It allowed me to just put my mind in autopilot and just kind of like work through the emotions in a healthy way. And sure enough, like as soon as I started beading, I felt better. I felt not angry. I was like, okay, what does this mean? And of course, like I reached out to my friends and my family. I messaged them all, like, I didn't get the TED Talk. And that's all I left it at. And some people, all of them were messaging saying, like, they're sorry and that they really support me and they love me either way. And maybe it's just not my time, or maybe I'm too deadly for them right now. But as I was beading, I was making connections in my head thinking, like, the one question that I thought about from the interview. Leave it to me to run out of space on my phone, right? Anyway, one question that was on my mind from that interview was, how does your story relate to people on a global scale? And I thought it gave a very good answer, but that question, on a global scale, and as I was reading and thinking about it and working through my emotions of disappointment and frustration and sadness, I thought to myself, maybe I'm not needed on a global scale right now. Maybe I'm not ready to be on a global scale right now. And I thought to myself, like, my story of who I am as a human being, in Saskatchewan, an Indigenous woman in Saskatchewan, is more impactful and more meaningful on a local scale. So maybe I'm needed on a local scale, and if there's ever a global scale, then amazing. But I'm young. I'm 26 years old. I'm newly married. I'm in my master's. I'm a baby. For all intents and purposes, I feel like a baby still. So as I was working through these emotions, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm committed to the local scale right now. I'm committed to who I am at this moment in this space and local. And then I thought about all the workshops and our communities, and I wanted to just be here, and I accepted it. And I was finally able to say, like, yeah, maybe this moment in time, it's not meant for me. And if they ever do choose to, like, say, like, if anyone does drop out and they can't go to New York, I would love to go. But am I going to be angry at the people for making really super hard decisions and trying to pick from all of these beautiful applicants? No, I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm feeling choked up right now, thinking, like, how much, if this happened to me last year, 2 years ago, I would be so mad. I would feel, I'm not even mad at them, mad at myself that I wasn't good enough. But I'm so happy with how healed I am. How much more healing is yet to go, but then I'm okay. And I'm so grateful to have that opportunity. I'm crying everywhere. But to have the opportunity to even be considered for a TED Talk, to have talked to the beautiful TED people, and here we are. And, maybe not now, but maybe in the future. But I wanted to share this story with you and share with you the ups and the downs and the moments that I tried to capture when it related to this whole experience that I've been on for the last, 3 months, 4 months. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful. Even though, I'm not going to be on that stage, and I'm maybe right now, the stage that is important is Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's my stage. And, things, I don't know what the future's gonna bring. But if I am at least any little bit as happy as I am now, or as healed as I am now, it's all been worth it. And I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to share this moment with you. I wanted to share how close I got to something that is just so coveted by whoever, I almost did it. And then, almost being selected for an interview for me is just as much as a success as being on that stage. And I don't know, I'm making no sense at this point. I'm just excited to share. I just wanted to share this with you all. And, let's see where life takes me next. And takes us next. And our journeys together. All right. We stas. I'm going to stop crying now.